Perfect. For those of you who don't know, this is Bye Bye Plastic Bags, another group that I have been following for a very long time. I'm very excited to have you guys on Youth-A-Thon today. We are going to be doing a DIY reusable bag workshop with you guys. So take it away.
Thank you so much, Laura. I'm so excited to be taking part in the Youth-A-Thon. How amazing. I've been following on Instagram. Here in Bali, it's just early morning. I don't know about all of the people tuning in right now. I can only imagine everybody so excited with all of the new knowledge that we're currently learning. I saw there was poetry, environmental racism, topics about music and how you can make a difference that way. And I think it's just so amazing how it's been all coming together in the form of a 24-hour Youth-A-Thon. I hope everybody's still energized. If you're tuning in and watching this right now, I want you to join me because I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just waking up here in Bali, Indonesia. I have colleagues, Alina joining in, who's coming in from Australia. But we're just gonna ask everybody to sit up a little bit straight and do a little bit of a wiggle with your shoulders. Stretch, stretch, stretch real high. And take that deep breath of the ocean air. I say ocean air because I'm staring out at the ocean right now. It's pretty convenient to celebrate such a beautiful thing. And I also want to say a big shout out and a thank you to especially Bailey and Bill for including plastic bags in this session. I'm really excited to share more about our story and then dig deeper into our workshop. It's going to be a really fun and interactive way. I hope that it can be a skill that you guys take away and use on how to actually say no to single-use plastic bags. But I guess my part, before I start, I want to hand it over to Alina as well as TY if she's in already. But Alina, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself first?
Sure. And I think TY should be coming in. If not, could you let her in? Hey guys, my name's Alina Hutton. I'm 18 and I am the team leader for Bye Bye Plastic Bags Australia. I can't actually tell you when my journey towards sustainability started because it feels like forever. And I'm not sure I can pinpoint a moment, but I started volunteering with Malati and Isabel in Bali at the beginning of this year. And together we did lots of stuff, but one of our biggest achievement while I was there was organizing Bali's biggest cleanup, where we got almost 13,000 people together and all over the world to join in a cleanup. And, I guess this ties into this event because of the connection to the ocean, removing plastic from the beaches, which I guess is not the solution because we could pick up plastic till we all die. But it's a educational tool to get people to realize what the problem is. And it's a ripple effect. So they see the problem, they start thinking about things, they tell other people, and I guess that's why I was so driven and motivated that I ended up coming back to Australia and starting my own team here in Australia, and TY just joined us, which is awesome.
Yes, TY, I see the beautiful bright sky behind you. Tell us a little bit about yourself as a brief introduction, and then I'll get started with the story, and then you guys can take it away with the DIY workshop, okay? TY.
Oh, beautiful, thank you. So I'm head of media for BBPB. The person who brought me into bioplastic it's a bit dark, isn't it? Anyway, the person who brought me into bioplastic bags was Alina. We used to go to school with each other and we were both very environmentally driven, and she knew that I was looking for an opportunity to help out, and she said to me, would you like to come on a team and help me make a difference? And obviously I was like, heck yeah, of course I would. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Super nice to have you both joining us, representing Bioplastic Bags Australia. But for those of you watching and who maybe don't know what B2B is or Bye Bye Plastic Bags is, I think that's a little bit my role to introduce you to the organization. So my name is Melati. I'm a 19-year-old full-time change maker, but my journey on activism really started when I was 12. And it feels like a lifetime ago, but I was 12 years old and my sister was 10. And the way the story goes is that, my sister and I, we had a lesson at school about significant people. Do you remember learning about Mahatma Gandhi, Lady Diana, Martin Luther King, or for those of you that are watching and tuning in from Indonesia, our own Ibu Kartini? Just real incredible icons and role models who made a real impact in their communities. And when we were learning about all of these real life examples, my sister and I went home that day and said, well, what can we do? And how can we get started? Have you ever felt like you had a really good idea, one that you knew was gonna be something so exciting and so know where to start? That's sometimes how we feel. We had to start, wanted to do things. And so we didn't have a business plan or a strategy or a budget. And that's the beauty of it. Sometimes you just have to get started. And you take that first leap, you start building your team. That was really lesson number one. But what we chose to do, when I say we just got started, was we identified one single problem. And what that was plastic pollution. A little bit of background so you understand why we chose it is I mentioned that I'm calling in and I'm doing this live recording from Bali, Indonesia. That's my home. That's where I grew up. And if you take a minute to close your eyes and just imagine Bali, the paradise island, where we have beautiful beaches, we have palm trees, we have the mountain and rivers going through. And then open your eyes and let me tell you the reality. Bali has all of those beautiful things, and we have a massive plastic crisis. Everywhere we go, whether it's a walk on the beach or a drive to school, you look out the window and you see plastic pollution. It's not just when you go into a supermarket and you take things off the shelf. We're seeing single-use plastic end up in places that it shouldn't. Have you ever thought where your plastic ends up? After you take it from the supermarket shelf, do you question where it goes after you use it or when you throw it in the bin? These are actually simple questions and sometimes really hard to answer. So my sister and I, after seeing all of the single-use plastic ending up in places that it really shouldn't, we thought, okay, we're gonna do something about it. And that's where we started Bye Bye Plastic Bags, with the vision to make our island home of Bali plastic bag free. We had no idea of the spider web that we were entering into. Can you imagine? We were 10 and 12 and we thought we can do this. We thought maybe it would take us the summer. And by the end of summer, we could go back to school with a massive accomplishment. But here we are, 7 years later, still campaigning and still going strong, with over 50 global teams all around the world in 29 countries led by young people just like Alina and TY, who you'll be hearing from in a moment to take you through a DIY alternative bag making workshop. But these are all young people that have seen what we are doing here on Bali and who wanted to do the same. And I think that this taps into, a larger mission and a larger passion of our generation. Remember how I asked you, do you ever feel like you have that crazy idea? How do you start? Where do you go? Building your team is number one. It's so key. It's about finding people that you're able to work with, that, vibe with your passion, but also find people that challenge you. And where do you go to get a team? Well, for us, it was our closest, best friends that we pulled together and we said, this is our idea. But look further out into your community. Talk to your teachers, talk to your parents, look at your local community to start building that team, because once that's in place, you can start building a movement. That's really what we did here in Bali for the last 7 years. And only last year, finally, we got the ban on single-use plastic bags, straws, and styrofoam implemented. So, as you can imagine, our whole team was, very excited and super joyful that finally, we could see our hard work and a lot of frustration and a lot of excitement and just a lot of emotions and time and energy for the last several years as kids on the front lines turn into action and implementation. But remember, this only happened, oh my gosh, by this month, it would have happened a year ago, exactly. I think this coming week. So it has been an intense 1 year since the implementation of the ban. I think bioplastic bags' role now here, especially on Bali, is to help with the implementation. So really changing the mindset, working on education, engaging with students, but also the general managers, also the CEOs. Because again, it is a movement that needs to have all levels of society. But how do you keep it fun, right? How do you keep it motivating and exciting to go? I think this comes back to the team and making sure that everyone in the team has something they're passionate about, right? TY, are you passionate about social media? You're muted. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you're passionate about social media. There we go. See, TY has a huge passion for social media. Alina, tell us one sort of segment that you're passionate about.
Well, just educating people on what the problem is and seeing people get involved and understanding that it's not it's not a 100% thing. It's if everyone's doing 25%, 50%, that makes a massive difference. Yeah.
Exactly. So as someone with that incredible idea or with this massive vision, you cannot do it by yourself. And to keep it fun, you bring people on board, you find their strengths, you find what they're good at, and you let them do it. And I think that that's really something that's so key and so beneficial to making a movement in the long term. Keep on going and walking our talk, which has always been a fundamental piece of bioplastic bags because we wanted to walk our talk. We knew that this was a change that we wanted to see in our community. But we also always got the question, as you can imagine, saying bye-bye plastic bags, what on earth were we supposed to use instead of plastic? Bum, bum, bum. That was a big question that we always got. And we knew that there were lots of solutions out there. You could bring your own tote bag, or for all of us that are students, we often have a backpack on us anyway when we're going to school or we stop on a shop on the way. But there are even more creative alternatives happening right now. Think about all the, whereas it's not 100%, but the bio-based bags, the cotton reusables, the lifetime bags, keychain, lots of different models that are now being pushed out into the world. But we always felt at home for ourselves. And this is a perfect way to get everybody on board right now to do a little DIY bag making workshop. Have you ever felt like you needed a bag and you didn't have one maybe at the go or handy to go? That's the point of this workshop. We really want to show you an easy way to engage with saying no to single-use plastic bags. And TY, I'm going to see if you can unmute yourself again, because I know that you'll be leading it. You can give a little intro, because I know also Alina wants to share more about the vision of Bioplastic Bags Australia, which also similar to Bali, but a way bigger version, an island nation. And yeah, TY, are you with us?
Yeah, sorry. I'm having a bit of trouble with my Zoom, so Alina's having to do my controls for me, but I hope you guys can hear me. Yeah, beautiful. So, yeah, there's a lot, well, no, that's not true. There's not a lot happening in Australia at the moment. We are a bit behind, which is very sad, especially in New South Wales. We have here in Australia, there are plastic bag bans in every single state except New South Wales, which is a shame for me and Alina, because that is where our base is for Bioplastic Bags Australia. But what we are really trying to do as our BBPB Australia is try and ban plastics in the whole of Australia. So that would include New South Wales, which is our big step for our team at the moment. But is Elena?
Yeah. Well, just quickly, do you want to give people a little taster of what the workshop is going to be later on after I finish chatting about?
So today, I will be teaching you guys how to, here, I'll just get my shirt out, how to make a bag out of a shirt. So if you guys have a shirt and a pair of scissors, that's literally all you need. We can do that later, and I think that'll be a lot of fun being able to make something we can use at home. So yeah.
Perfect. So guys, get excited for that. But just before the workshop, we wanted to talk a bit about if my latte is finished. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think it's over to you now, Lena.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, I just wanted to talk a bit more about what we're doing here down in Australia, because we would love to share what we're doing, and also if there are any fellow Australians out there watching us, we would love to have you involved. Either, you can join one of our teams. We have a team. We're trying to build a team in each state. So when I started Bye Bye Plastic Bags Australia, we had one team in New South Wales, and then not long after, we joined with a team that had started up in Tasmania. So Bye Bye Plastic Bags Australia then grew, and then we have just recently added a new team in Western Australia. So we're very proud to say that we have 3 teams for Bye Bye Plastic Bags Australia, but obviously, as speaking from Australia, we would like to be able to represent everyone. So if you are out there thinking that it would be something that you would enjoy, please reach out, and we would love to have you on our team. I just wanted to say, just talk about the things that we've been doing in the last 6 months. We joined with we had a short partnership with Plastic Bags and also Ocean Purpose Project, where we did a Q&A session, and we interviewed 5 panelists after watching the film 2040, which if you haven't already, watch it, it is amazing. We had panelists talking after that, where people could watch the film and then have their questions answered by people who were specialists in their field. For example, we had one gentleman who was making plastic out of seaweed. We had another gentleman from Singapore who is using his shipping company to clean the oceans. So within Singapore harbour and all over the world, actually, wherever his ships goes, they clean the ocean as they're going, which I thought was quite fitting to today's discussion. We've also done events like our Earth Hour meditation. Earth Hour kind of happened as we were all going into COVID, so we couldn't have the bigger event that we were hoping for. So we live streamed a meditation, and we kind of gave people an opportunity to switch off and enjoy the peace and serenity that nature was getting while we all switched off all of our power. We've also done, because COVID has made it more difficult for people to get involved with our events, we have been increasing our online presence and getting involved in our IG stories and videos. So each team has been put in charge of their own section, and they're coming online and doing like DIY videos. So how to make a terrarium, how to make a native beehive. In Australia, well, our native bees are, actually bees all over the world are under threat, but here in Australia it's something that we thrive to try and do something about. So TY actually ran our native beehive DIY workshop, and also if you liked the bag workshop we're doing today, it is on our Instagram, so you can go check that out to do it again. The situation in Australia, which TY briefly touched on, We're a bit sad that not as much is done. Sorry, let me unmute her now. Not much is being done that we'd like. There has been a proposal put in for New South Wales to get the bag removed, plastic bag removed, but since then we have not had much. Well, the government's had bigger things to worry about at the moment with COVID and all. But yes, obviously, I think the other thing I wanted to touch on, which I think has been such a contributing factor to our success in getting people to join our team, is as an island, as Malati said, we're an island, and so we have a really big surfing culture, and even just the Australian culture in general has a really strong connection to not only the environment, so what we call the bush, strong connection to the bush, but the ocean as well. And because of that, we have a lot of people who are, who deeply care for the environment and want to do something about it. We have a lot of surfers who come back from their surf every day with rubbish tucked into their wetsuits, just a general concern for the environment and for the ocean, which is what today's topic is about. And I guess I want to touch on what Malati said before about the importance of building a team. And this kind of, the culture and the perspective and the attitude that Australians have towards the environment is something that we've been very grateful to have, because it means a lot of people are willing to help out. I mean, some people can't commit to a full-time position, which is fine, but we have many people who come to us and ask to volunteer, and they join in our beach cleanups, and that is absolutely incredible to see. And obviously we're here to motivate as many children and kids and youth as possible, because we are the next generation. And Isabel, Malati's younger sister, has I'm not sure it's your quote, but she's the one that always says it, but she says, we kids, we're 25% of the population, but we're 100% of the future. And you couldn't have worded it better. We are, you have to educate our children. And also adults are often quite set in their ways and are much harder to change habits. But if you start kids young, it's really good. So TY, did you want to add anything about our Australian situation?
Yeah, so I just had a few things to talk about. Three main subjects that are going on in Australia at the moment. One that is especially big here because of the season we're in at the moment. A lot of whales, including humpback whales, are migrating and making their way up to Queensland waters, where it's getting a little bit warmer. And as we start to see whales moving up, entanglements in our coastline shark nets. And this is something that has been an issue for, since the shark nets were put in. And we have just in May, we had our first whale that was stuck. It was about mid-May. And then just last week, we had a calf and her mother who were entangled. And this brings to light a serious issue where we have put something that is supposed to be permanent, that has a purpose, and it damages our marine life. We see turtles stuck. We see whales, sharks, although they are meant for the sharks, they are still an inhumane way, and animals get stuck and they aren't able to breathe, and in a lot of cases it becomes detrimental, which is really, really horrible. And the issue is not really being met by the government. They have things put in place to rescue whales once they are there, but if you're not there in it's the first few, the first hour that's really important, and if no one's there, then it's what is the whale going to do? So it's really, we see our Australian government, they are working on, we'll fix what happens afterwards, not what happens now. What about what's causing that? And it's not about the cause, it's about we'll just fix the issues that happen after. So
Wait, I'm just going to quickly interrupt you, because from our Q&A, someone has asked, what is your favorite community organization that deserves more money and attention than it gets? And I think actually that ties into what you were saying perfectly. So Sea Shepherd, Chiwa will talk about more, but they are incredible. And in Australia, they are very committed to helping our marine life and our oceans. And so if you guys could go and check them out and donate to them, that would be awesome. We would love to do a partnership with them, or a cleanup, which would be awesome. But in Australia, they have a major, they have an awesome contribution into educating people not only about the plastic pollution problem, but also their focus is the ocean, which is awesome. So that's
if people want to hop on Facebook and check out Sea Shepherd Australia, they actually post whenever there is a whale entanglement, and they're very quick to inform their followers on what's happening at the moment with the ocean. And it's a great way to be informed about what's happening at the moment in Australia's ocean. If I can move to ghost nets, which is, so ghost nets mean they are fishing nets that have been disregarded and have caused entanglement for animals. So here in Australia, we have an immense problem with ghost nets. Our fishing community is very big. So this ranges from organisational ghost nets, which can be kilometres long, to just small ones that individuals are using. So it's this. We have a organisation called Ghost Nets Australia that has removed 13,000 nets from our Australian beaches. But they are still trying to do as much as they can, because of course, whatever number we have now, we have to try and do better. So with ghost nests, that's one of the most detrimental things to a turtle. It is one of the main causes of turtle deaths here in Australia, which is really, really heartbreaking. We see a lot of videos of people finding animals and helping them, bringing them out of the water. I know people who have saved animals when they've been fishing and they've found them. And it's a serious issue here, where a lot of us are trying to do petitions. We have one of our WA media, she's the head of media for WA, and she's a petition at the moment. If you'd like to go check that out on our Instagram, on the BBPV Australia Instagram, we have that there. So she's working to get more signage for ghost nests and proper disposal. So proper disposal on beaches, so that people can properly do the right thing.
Can you see my screen? Because it has, this is what she's doing. She works for us, and this is what she does separate to us, but we love what she's doing. So you guys can go and show her some love. It's called the Ocean Motion Campaign. Sorry.
I'm very proud of her for what she's doing. So.
Okay, I'm gonna pop in here. Hi everyone. Alina, TY, I have to dip out, but I leave all the viewers in the good hands of you guys for the second part of the talk. Again, thank you so much for listening in and hearing the story of plastic bags. And I'm excited to watch back and hear how the workshop goes. I hope you all learn something useful and meaningful to be able to take onwards in your life. So with that, I leave you and see you soon.
Bye. Thank you so much. Well, I think without further ado, what we might do is head over to the workshop so you guys can participate in that. If you guys are watching now, it is a really good time. We will give you 2 minutes to quickly run, grab an old t-shirt that no one wears. It doesn't matter if yours, parents, siblings, and a pair of scissors. And then what we will do is TY will then take over and show you how to do it. As I mentioned earlier, if you don't have a chance to do that right now, but you would like to get involved and do this cute little DIY, it is all on our Instagram. And yeah, so we will see you in 2 minutes.
As we are giving it a minute, there is just one more question there's two more questions actually in the Q&A if you guys want to answer them. There's what keeps you going through the crisis, and how do you center BIPOC in your work daily? I don't know if you guys want to take some time now to answer those questions or wait until after the DIY workshop. I just wanted to put that on your radar.
Sorry, I'll unmute us. There we go. So I will go and answer the first question, like what keeps us going through this crisis. As I mentioned earlier, we're definitely doing a lot more for our social media presence, which hopefully you can see if my screen is still shared. So just trying to build our social media presence so that when people go on there, everything is really easy to find, everything about us and how to get involved in like being part of our team. We've also got merchandise which has come out recently, and we're hoping to build on that. We've got and actually, can you see my screen? Is it the?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And yeah, so obviously we've got the events that we have done. You can also click on About Us, which is thus there, which is a new thing that we've just done. But just so people can get to know our team. And so everyone did a small video, and it's actually really beautiful to watch, just like why people's motivation for joining. And then we have a help us, so if we've got any petitions that we are supporting people, you can just click on there. And did you know, just some fun facts. You can also find us on Facebook. You can also find us on Facebook, which would be awesome. And yeah, we've also got loads of, DIY videos. That's probably the next thing that we're moving towards, so people can head to our social medias and get involved with things. For example, we've just recently added zero waste toothpaste, really basic stuff that doesn't take a lot to do. As I said before, it's not about being 100%, it's about making these small changes towards a bigger goal. And if everyone's making small changes, we make a much bigger difference than if one person is doing everything. TY, do you want to go and answer question number 2?
How do you centre Black, Indigenous and people of colour in your work daily? Well, for BBPB, I think we aren't an organisation that kind of employs people. We bring on the people who come to us and ask and ask to be joined in and say that they're interested in what we do. So I think in the inclusion of Black and Indigenous and coloured people, I think I might be one of the only Indigenous in our group. I'm from New Zealand, so I'm Māori. With working towards and working with Indigenous in Australia, that is a very big issue, especially with agriculture and how to look after the land. So we are, as team leaders, very, very aware of how we need to include Indigenous. We have both been through a school that was very focused on the rights of the Indigenous and being aware on that it is their country, this is their land, it always will be and always was Aboriginal land. And I think it's just about being aware that we can't make the decisions for Indigenous. It's about speaking together, having a lot of communication, and figuring out what we can do to aid and to help the Indigenous, rather to do it for them and to make assumptions on what they need. So yeah, I think it's just a lot on being aware on what you're doing, aware that our views are not the only ones here, and that there are people that have known this land a lot longer than we have, and so yeah, they know how to look after it a lot more than we do. So it's about including and having that conversation with a lot of people. So yeah, thank you for that question, whoever put that one through.
I just want to quickly add, I mean, it's not related to the protests and stuff in America, but I'm sure people remember at the end of last year into the beginning of this year, Australia suffered really, really bad bushfires. We've had 3 years of drought, but which basically dried everything up. So when the fires came this year, which we get every year, it just destroyed so much of what we had, and so many people lost their entire livelihood. And after that happened, you know, in lots of Indigenous people, and actually during it as well, lots of Indigenous people came forward and said, you know, this wouldn't have happened if you guys had adopted what we've been doing for a really long time. And you know, and our government didn't listen, didn't do enough. And then, you know, the Australians, we suffered majorly. But a good thing, I guess, if we're going to look at the positives that came out of that, now our bushfire board has, I think it's like 70% now Indigenous people, which is a major step towards acknowledging that they understand things better than we do. They understand the environment way better than I think that we ever will, to be quite honest. But yes, and then in terms, you know, if we look more globally, so Bye Bye Plastic Bags has over 40 teams all over the world. We're called global teams. And basically what we're trying to do is imitate what Melati and Isabel have done in Bali, where we come from. And in that way, you know, we're a very inclusive group. As TY says, we don't go out looking for people who can do things really well. We want people to come to us because they're passionate and motivated, and they come to us to be part of our team. And doesn't matter where you come from. TY is from New Zealand. She's Kiwi, and I let her on my team. So you know what I mean. We're very. It's not about where you come from, what you look like. It's about whether you're motivated. And you know, I have a lot of friends, you know, who don't fall into that group and don't care at all. So yeah, it doesn't really impact us at all. But I think we've given you guys enough time now, if you were going to get a t-shirt and join, to get a t-shirt and a pair of scissors. So I will now hand over to TY, because I'm currently actually on a rural farm. I'm working on a farm, so I did not have access to clothes that I'm not going to wear. But TY will take over for me, and I will see you back shortly.
Cool. So hi guys, today, as you all know, we're going to be making a t-shirt into a bag. So here I've got my shirt. I'm just going to lower the camera a little bit so we can see what I'm doing. So here so I'm just going to press record so we can have this for our social media. So here we have our shirt. We're going to start with our sleeves, and all you're going to do is cut along the sleeve just behind the seam line so that you have that seam still attached. So yeah, hopefully everyone's enjoyed our talk today, and hoping people have learned a little bit about Australia especially and what's going on. So our one side looks like that. We've still got the seam there. Yeah, so as we've all been saying, we're really trying to increase our social media presence, as COVID has restricted us to doing any events. So this is something we can especially do with you guys. Here's our second one. So we've got 2 sleeves with just the seams, and then we're going to come over to the neck, and we're going to want about this much of the t-shirt left, and we're going to be cutting down here, following the seam line all the way to the other side. So I'm just going to mark that. That's about centimeters. It's about maybe 5 centimeters along. So you've got about a 5 centimeter strap, and you want to follow the seam line of your collar. Make sure everything's as same as possible. There you go. So we've removed that bit, and we've got here, we've got one little strap and another strap here. So we've got the top done, and we're going to move to the bottom of the shirt. Now, what we're going to be doing is, if you can see down here, we're going to be cutting little strips like that. So you'll have two strips as you cut down, and just go like this, all the same length down the edge, and then we're going to be tying them all together. Sorry, you can all probably hear someone's doing some at-home maintenance down the back of their house. I live in a bit of a rural area, so we've all got lots of space up here. So we're just cutting strips down the shirt. So we've got one strip on each side. So if you have a look, we've got little dangly bits like this, and now we're going to tie them all together. Let me just cut the end ones so I can tie those together. So there, I just cut my end ones so I could tie them both together. So we're just tying a knot like so. Beautiful. And then we go to the next one. And then we're going to do that along the whole of the shirt. So, hope you guys enjoyed making your bag. You can obviously do this in any shirt you like. If you've got some old shirts you're not really enjoying anymore, or you've grown out of, this is a perfect way to reuse and recycle, and yeah, make something that's useful that you can take to the shops with you. You can, obviously, we all have shirts of different colours, so you can get beautiful patterned bags. So yeah, I hope you guys were able to follow along and could do that one. I'm losing where I'm up to.
Just quickly while she's finishing that off. So yeah, basically this is, these workshops is what we try and do to get people to, I guess, reuse, reduce, recycle. So the 3 R's, yeah, recycling old stuff that wouldn't have a purpose anymore, or something you would potentially throw away, into something that is useful again. And for that, you have a lot of creativity. Obviously, these things can be really stylish. I know a couple of our friends have done them and tie-dyed the bags, which has looked really, really cool. But it's a really simple activity, especially if you've got younger kids and they want, you want to give them something because people respond to doing really well. So when you're trying to convey a message about sustainability, getting them to do a workshop like this has been really effective for us, especially as we work with younger kids.
Yeah, sorry guys, the time bit's a bit.
And also, I mean, don't do it now, but if you want to double knot the knots at the bottom, sometimes if you're carrying heavier stuff, that can be a more practical as well. And you can also like sew things onto the bags and
beautiful. So we've got our, here, if I just pop that up a little, we have our beautiful bag. There we go. Can we move that? There we go. Your at-home recycled reuse bag. Hope you guys enjoyed that one.
That looks so cool. I'm definitely going to try this. I didn't have the chance to do it because we're all kind of working on stuff behind the scenes here, but that's super, super easy way to have a reusable bag if you don't want to buy one, if you just have a t-shirt laying around. And Alina, just to echo what you were talking about before, I just wanted to ask both of you, what is your main driver? What was the reason you decided? I know it's kind of a difficult question to answer, and I feel like a lot of people in the movement kind of have somewhat similar answers, but I just wanted to know, like, what is your driving force? Why are you so passionate about plastic pollution specifically?
I'll go first to answer that, and then Ty can join after me. But I guess for me, on a personal level, I grew up in Asia or the Middle East. So I was, as a kid, I'm always confronted with the problem. Obviously at that age, I didn't understand what it was. And I guess as I kind of grew up, Mum was very focused on what we were eating. So that's, I guess, how it started. Mum would never try as much as possible not to buy food in plastic, not because of the plastic problem, but from a health point of view. Natural things. And I guess it's funny because my mum and I, we have different motives for what we do, but we both end up at the zero waste, at a zero waste place. So she comes from a place of nutrition, health, because plastic actually, stuff migrates into the food that you're eating, the packaged food. You end up eating a lot of plastic. The fish that we eat from the ocean is full of microplastics. So that's where she's coming from. And then I'm coming from a place of, nature. I love being in nature, and living in Australia, it's an option that I have all the time. I wish I could actually show you where I am right now. I'm about 40 minutes away from any town. But it's just so beautiful here. And I guess having been grown up in Asia, where that is it's such a contrasting issue, as Malati said before, like the barley that everyone talks about is not the reality, because plastic is such a big issue there. And in the Middle East and in some of these third world countries, it's a problem that is everywhere and people don't know how to deal with it. So I guess that's where I come from. It's more on just educating people on what the problem is and how we can try, and everyone does a little bit to make it a place that our children, our grandchildren can still go to Bali and see a pristine beach, know what that beach looked like for us. And even now we're losing it. And I think that's really sad. So that's where I come from. Ty?
Yeah, so I think I'm similar to Alina. My family was very focused on being natural and eating organic food, and being able to stay away from plastic. And being raised in New Zealand, I was always around nature, so I lived in a house that backed up into a pine forest. So that was literally where I spent all of my time. I see kids today, and a lot of them are on their phones and they're all kind of sitting inside, whereas I spent every single day outside. I had tree houses, and I really enjoyed being in nature. I used to save birds and hedgehogs that I used to find. And I was really connected to nature when I was little. And I don't think I can place the place where I properly became aware of the plastic issue in the world. But especially probably last year, I think that's where it became happening in my brain on, okay, so what can we do? What can I do more? And I think what really pushes me is just nature. I mean, I look outside. I'm outside right now. I look outside, and it's I enjoy being able to just maybe count the birds that I see there, or just take a deep breath of the air that I'm able to breathe. And I think it comes from a deep appreciation of what Mother Earth has been able to give us, and the animals that we are blessed to have around us. And I think it comes from the notion of needing to protect that, and saying like what big organizations are doing isn't right, and to be able to realize that I as an individual can make change, and everyone here, you as an individual can make change, whether that comes from having a wooden toothbrush, or using a reusable razor, or buying products from the right organization, or the food you eat, buying produce that is close to home. It's just small choices that can change the world. And I think that's where I come from, being able to change the world on the small choices that I can make, and being pushed by nature, and recognizing that nature is beautiful and we must keep it that way. So
Was really, really awesome and profound, both of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm like so excited to go grab like an old t-shirt out of my closet now. That's just such a super easy thing to do. It's like except for the ones at the bottom, it's like 3 cuts, right? Like it's super, super easy. If you guys have anything else you want to say, just final sentiments or any questions you have for the audience, anything like that?
Well, I just quickly want to say, like, a couple of questions that we asked quite a lot is kids, they come up to us and they're like, how do I make a difference? Mm-hmm. And I guess that's the question that everyone's asking. And the answer that we often give is actually, I can't give you a direct answer, because everyone has a different way, and everyone is in a different situation. Everyone lives in a different country. And I guess this is why Bye Bye Plastic Bags' global setup is actually so effective, because the issues that we have here in Australia are different to Bali, different to Canada, different to the UK. So my kind of last things, I'm sure Tia I can add on, is just start small. Go literally every time you cook dinner, every time you're eating your school lunchbox, every time you have breakfast, count how many pieces of plastic you're using. You know, and the school lunchbox is actually one of the most easiest ways to start, because some kids, they have everything is in packaging. Which actually, if you say to mum, hey, just buy a bigger packet of nuts and then put a little bit in each day in a small container, and you're still using plastic, but you've actually halved. Or, you know, if you say you've had 1 piece of plastic rather than 5 every day, or, you know, the toothbrush, it's actually so easy. Like the fact, you know, using an electric toothbrush is easier, but it actually isn't much different to using a normal toothbrush. So one that is wooden, and actually once you finish with the wooden toothbrush, pull the little bristles out, you can write basil on it, and it becomes a plant label, which is what I've done in my garden.
Good idea.
Yeah, so, you know, there's just lots of really small things. Toothpaste, it's one of the things maybe is like another step. Like for me, it took me a really long time to get used to the taste. So maybe that's not a first step situation, but it's one of those things that's really easy. It is so cheap. It costs you less than $1 to buy all the ingredients for a thing, and it lasts forever. Like it's crazy. So yeah, just start thinking. Don't worry about what everyone else says. Just start small. Start bringing a water bottle with you everywhere. And again, it's this really simple thing. It's so good for you because it actually ups the amount of water that you drink, which is something a lot of people, you know, unknowingly, none of us drink enough water, really. And it makes a difference. Just really, really small, basic things.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think it's that same sentiment that's just kind of think locally, act globally. That whole sentiment is very applicable here.